When the Columbine high school shooting occurred, it was the worst high school shooting in U.S. history. But did you know that it was never intended to be just a school shooting? On April 20th, 1999, two teen boys, Eric Harris, 18, and Dylan Klebold, 17, would show up at their high school in the early morning hours, armed with almost 100 bombs and 4 guns. They would go on to kill 12 students, 1 teacher, and themselves over the course of an hour. This was one of the first school shootings that was widely televised, and despite in 2022 barely being in the top 10 anymore, it's still one of the most well-known. Eric and Dylan had been planning this massacre for over a year leading up to April 20th, and they wanted it to be similar to the Oklahoma City bombing, their favorite video games, and mass terrorism attacks combined. They thought that school shootings were lame, and they wanted to do something much bigger than that. They placed 2 propane bombs in the cafeteria, set to go off when there would be the most students in that area. Their plan was that the library would fall from the floor above, killing as many as possible. Their original game plan was for each of them to sit and wait in a different parking lot outside of the school near different entrances, wait for fleeing students trying to escape, and then shoot them. When they realized that the bombs didn't go off, they decided to just start shooting anyways, working their way from the outside of the school to the inside, eventually into the library where they would kill the majority of students. Police and SWAT teams that were standing outside allowed them free rein over the school for over an hour. Cops and rescue teams supposedly took so long to enter the building because they were worried about the amount of bombs inside the school, and protocol at that time was to contain the shooters. Many of the students had to save themselves, including Patrick Ireland, who is shown here, who after being shot numerous times dragged himself across the library floor and flung himself outside of a window to get help that wasn't coming. Teacher Dave Sanders led many students to safety when the shooting first began, and he was unfortunately shot in the back by Eric Harris. Students attempted to provide first aid for him in a science room as he lay dying, and they even made a sign that they posted at the window letting them know that they needed medical help, but it never came. Many red flags were ignored in the years leading up to the shooting, and it's possible that it could have been prevented. Despite entering the school with almost 100 bombs they had built themselves over the past year, most of them didn't detonate, luckily saving a lot more students from dying or being injured. Over 20 years later, this tragedy has gone on to inspire lots of other shootings, and it's sad to think that after all this time, nothing has really changed.